Where is Malaysia Airlines Flight 370?
What planes don't do is just vanish off the face of the earth.
There are stories that come and go with the news cycle, headlines that flash across our screens, spark brief conversation, then dissolve into the background noise of our endlessly connected world. But then there are stories that do the opposite, stories that deepen with time, that burrow under the skin of humanity and linger like a phantom whisper. Stories that don't fade, they ferment, and nothing, absolutely nothing, haunts the collective consciousness quite like the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. It wasn't just a plane that went missing, it was reality that broke. This wasn't some rusty aircraft from a bygone era. This was a state-of-the-art Boeing 777, a modern marvel loaded with redundant systems, transponders, and real-time communication tools. And yet, on March 8, 2014, that technological beast lifted off from Kuala Lumpur at 12:41 a.m., charted for Beijing, carrying 239 souls, and then vanished as if the Earth itself had swallowed it whole. In a world where your phone knows if you've moved 5 feet to the left, where satellites can read your license plate from space, a 200-ton jetliner disappeared without a trace. No mayday call, no distress signal, just gone. And what did we get in return for our horror? A breadcrumb trail of confusion, an official narrative riddled with gaps and contradictions, a debris field scattered across the oceans of our imagination. We got washed up fragments of wing flaps years later, but no fuselage, no cockpit, no passengers. We got press conferences, investigations, international bickering, and bureaucratic shrugs, but no closure. And that vacuum, oh that vacuum, became the breeding ground for something far darker, because nature abhors a vacuum, and so do we. What filled the silence were the whispers, theories, suspicions. What started as quiet murmurs grew into obsessive threads across the internet. Reddit posts, YouTube documentaries, forums where time didn't exist and every frame of radar data was poured over like sacred scripture. And then came the video, a grainy black and white thermal clip, like something smuggled out of Area 51 under the cover of night. No intro, no watermark, no timestamp. Just an aircraft eerily matching the size and silhouette of a Boeing 777 drifting silently across the sky. And then they appear. 3 glowing orbs, perfectly spherical. No wings, no propellers, no propulsion. They don't fly. They glide, dancing around the aircraft in a formation so precise it defied belief. Not machines, not weather balloons, not anything we've ever seen. They start to spin, closer, tighter, faster, until the very fabric of the footage begins to warp. You see it, a ripple, like the sky itself is tearing. A portal maybe, a wormhole maybe, a glitch in the matrix? Call it what you want, but in one instant, the orbs in the plane are pulled into the vortex. And then, nothing. No boom. No fragments, no trail, just void. And the internet lost its mind. People didn't just watch the video, they studied it, froze it, rewound it, shared it like it was the last secret on Earth. And just as the chaos reached fever pitch, one name emerged like a prophet from the noise. Ashton Forbes. Not a pilot, not a radar technician. Just a man with a mission and a theory that broke the internet. Forbes claimed this video wasn't a hoax. He said it was leaked footage from advanced military surveillance drones, perhaps using infrared sensors unavailable to the public. He said it was classified, buried, covered up, and it only saw the light of day because a whistleblower took a risk and broke protocol. He didn't drop the word alien right away. No, he let the footage do that talking. And the silence around it, that was the loudest part. Because what if after all the theories about hijackings, depressurization, rogue pilots, and government cover-ups, what if none of it was true? What if the answer wasn't inside the box, but outside the entire framework of understanding? What if this wasn't a tragedy caused by human error, but by an intervention? Skeptics swarmed in like sharks. Debunkers claimed the wormhole effect was ripped straight from a public 3D engine called Video Copilot Element 3D. They analyzed the orb's movement, the heat signatures, the camera shake. They said it looked too good, too cinematic, too polished. But still, something didn't sit right. Because if this was just another internet hoax, why did it feel so real? Why did it haunt people? Because it made sense. More than any other explanation ever had. You see, MH370 had always been too clean a mystery, too precise, like a ghost that knew how to erase its own footsteps. A rogue pilot, maybe, but why fly thousands of miles off course without ever demanding attention? A mechanical failure. That doesn't explain the radio silence, the sharp turn west, the hours of silent gliding. But this theory, this idea that something beyond human understanding reached out and plucked that plane out of the sky like it was nothing, that scratches an itch. That explains the absence better than any earthly narrative ever has. And Forbes leaned in hard. He went on podcasts, he joined live streams, he dropped documents, diagrams, heat maps. He pulled in anyone who would listen and dared them to disprove him. Not because he wanted attention, but because he believed, with a fire that couldn't be faked. And while governments ignored him and media outlets laughed, the people listened. The ones still grieving, still searching, still wondering how something so massive could just evaporate. And now, a decade after that doomed flight left the runway, the conversation is louder than ever. Because maybe, just maybe, this wasn't just the world's biggest aviation mystery. Maybe this was a message, a warning, a sign that our reality is not as stable, not as solid as we like to pretend. Maybe we were never meant to find that plane, but now that the footage is out there, now that the story refuses to die, it's not just a case anymore. It's a reckoning. And the real question is no longer, where did MH370 go? But what if we were never supposed to know? So what do you think? Are we looking at the first documented contact? Government cover-up, or just an internet-era illusion that hit the right nerve? When people watched that video, the one of the plane drifting silently through the night, swallowed by a vortex of glowing orbs, they felt something no analyst, no expert, no debunker could ever measure or explain. It wasn't just curiosity, it wasn't just shock, it was dread. That cold ripple in your stomach, that rising tightness in your throat, the kind of primal fear that bypasses reason and grabs you by the soul. Because deep down, we all recognize something we couldn't name, something that didn't belong, and yet felt real. It was the kind of moment where disbelief doesn't even have time to settle in, because your body has already decided, your gut has already screamed, this isn't normal. And let's just be brutally honest here. What else makes sense? What else explains the complete, near-perfect erasure of Flight MH370 in a world that has mapped Mars in Ultra HD? We live in an age where satellites track ocean currents, where our smartphones can tell us how many steps we took last Tuesday, and yet, a commercial aircraft with 239 people aboard disappeared as if it never existed. We've pulled sunken submarines from the cold, crushing dark of the Mariana Trench. We've uncovered temples under centuries of jungle growth. We've watched meteors fall into oceans and located them days later. But somehow, MH370, a 200-foot-long airplane, vanished without a body, a black box, or a single soul ever being identified. And don't give us that the ocean is big argument. The ocean's always been big, but it's never been this quiet. It's never been this empty. And just when the mystery seemed like it might fade into dusty old case files and forgotten documentaries, Ashton Forbes refused to let it go. He didn't just double down, he waged war on the silence. He hit podcasts with maps and models. He dropped timelines on Reddit. He talked to journalists, to YouTubers, to anyone who would listen or dare question. He brought thermal breakdowns, satellite overlays, whistleblower claims, theories from fringe scientists and credible insiders alike. Some dismissed him, others listened in awe, but one thing was clear. He wasn't backing down, because Forbes wasn't just making noise. He was doing what the authorities wouldn't. He was asking the right questions. And then came the voicemail. It was 2018, 4 years after MH370 disappeared. A man on Twitter, just a regular user, uploaded a cryptic voicemail he'd received from an unknown number. At first, it seemed like gibberish, just a robotic voice speaking in the NATO phonetic alphabet. Sierra, Oscar, Sierra. But when decoded, it spelled out something that felt like it had been ripped from a sci-fi thriller. SOS, it is dire for you to evacuate. Be cautious. They are not human. The internet lost its mind. Theories exploded. Some said it was a prank. Others swore it was real. Some thought it was AI generated. Others believed it was a warning from another dimension. But one idea rose to the top of every thread, every comment section, every frantic YouTube breakdown. Could this be connected to MH370? Could this have been a distress signal that finally found its way through the static? And if it was, who sent it? Was it someone on the plane? A survivor? A system on board that woke up for one final scream into the void? Or was it something else? Something watching? From that moment, the theory evolved from a fringe internet rabbit hole to a full-blown cultural reckoning. TikTok exploded with breakdowns. And let's not pretend this came out of nowhere. The US government has openly admitted to tracking what they now call UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. Not just once, not just anecdotal, we're talking declassified footage, Navy pilots describing craft that defy gravity, infrared cameras capturing objects accelerating faster than any known technology, tic-tac-shaped vessels, glowing orbs. Sound familiar? So maybe, just maybe, once they didn't just buzz our skies, maybe once they took something, and maybe it was flight MH370. But this theory isn't just about extraterrestrials, it's about us, about the unbearable itch that mystery leaves in the human mind, about our refusal to just accept a blank page where answers should be. For the families of those on board, the grief never ended, it just morphed. First into confusion, then into frustration, then into this endless purgatory of what if. They were given timelines, maps, guesses, but never truth, never closure. And while some still hope for a miracle, this theory does something else. It offers a why, not a comforting why, not even a human one, but it fills the silence with something. And that's more than any government has done. And the wildest twist of all, the alien theory might not even be about aliens. It might be about us, our patterns, our grief, our need to organize chaos into order, to make sense out of the senseless. Because when we lose control, we build myths, we tell stories, we hunt for structure, even if it means looking into the stars and wondering if someone else is writing our script. This is why it won't die. This is why the MH370 mystery is eternal, because the plane didn't just disappear. Our trust and certainty vanished with it. So now I'm asking you, what do you believe? Not just what you've heard, not just what you've read, but deep down, what feels true to you? Was it a catastrophic failure, a hijacking, a cover-up, or did we witness a moment when our world briefly touched another? Drop your thoughts below. The smartest theory, the most haunting one, and if you had to bet your life on one explanation, just one, what would you say happened that night? And if this made you pause, if it stirred something in your gut, or made you see the story in a new light, like this video, hit subscribe, stick around, because this mystery isn't done unraveling, and somewhere out there, in a sky we no longer trust, in a silence that won't let go, a single question still lingers. Where is MH370?